Manchester United 3, Burnley 2. We never seem to make it easy, but we finally got our first Premier League win of the season. And despite the relatively close scoreline, well, very close, a last-minute penalty to win it for United, I don't think it was a particularly close football match. I feel that for large parts, particularly in the first half, Manchester United were the much better team, and that's all because of the game state and the fact that it suited the United players. Now, what I'm talking about here is the type of football match that we saw, and that's the first thing that I want to address in this video. And we can often gauge how a football match is going to go by looking at the two teams' goal kicks and the way that both teams look to play out from the back. Do teams look to play short? Do they play centrally? Do they play wide? Do they play long? That's going to give you a good idea of the match you're going to get. So let's start off with when Manchester United had the ball in deep positions. And we know what the structure is going to look like, so we're not going to talk about that too much. We know what United want to try and do in the first phase, but actually, once again, in this game, we often struggle to play out from the back. So instead, what we would see is United bouncing a pass into midfield, bouncing it round the corner to Lenny Yoro. He's going to step forward with the ball, but Burnley were there and applying pressure and often forcing Manchester United to play the ball long. We also saw it up the other end. Dubravka would have the ball in goal, and Manchester United were actually reasonably aggressive with the shape. So we would see Mason Mount moving a little bit wider onto Kyle Walker, Cunha and Mbeumo almost become a front two, and Ahmad squeezes up from a wing-back position. It almost becomes a bit more of a 4-4-2. So Yoro sort of becomes a right back, De Ligt and Shaw are centre backs, and Dalot is on the left hand side. So Manchester United, in these moments, were going man for man with the Burnley players, and as a result, Burnley were forced to play the ball long. Now, this first clip here is just 2 minutes into the game, and the next one is 11 minutes into the game, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. Early goal kicks and early goalkeeper positions really setting the tone for the rest of the game. You can see Burnley want to move the ball out from the back, but Manchester United don't want to let them, so the Manchester United players go man for man, squeeze really high, and force Burnley to play the ball long. But also, we saw something very similar up the other end as well. Burnley applying pressure to the ball, particularly once the ball was out wide, and United are forced long. So what does that mean? Well, it means we are going to get a game which is very dependent on first balls, second balls, and transitional moments. But a big thing really is second duels, and this is where United were good. Look at this lovely little graphic here that I found online. This is Manchester United picking up the second ball, and that's why we were able to be effective. Before we continue with the rest of the video, I would just like to take a moment to ask you guys if you could please subscribe to the channel. We've been on a big push over the past couple of months, and your guys' support has been absolutely insane. I'm very aware of the fact that we have some new viewers, so if you do like the content, if you could subscribe, please. That'd be great. Now, the reason why this can suit Manchester United sometimes is because of the ridiculous level of quality that we have at this football club. Now, that might sound slightly odd to say, considering we literally lost to Grimsby in midweek with a strong team, but we know that we have quality players that can make a difference in just any moment. We have game-breaking qualities, players that are able to break in behind, and physically and technically, I think we really questioned the United players against Grimsby. The intensity wasn't there out of possession, and on the ball we lacked the technical quality. We didn't look that much better than our opponents when we really should have done. In this game, I think it was the complete opposite. If Amorim was looking for a response from his players, I think he got one. I think the work rate of the Manchester United players was excellent, and Mason Mount in particular deserves so much credit. The defensive work that this man does for the team is absolutely phenomenal. But also I think the technical was really good. And that's what happens when you do spend big money and you do upgrade your front three. Of course, Šeško not in the team yet. It was Mason Mount, but technically he's a good player. So when we were having these quick, fast transitional moments, we're dropping on second balls and trying to play from there. What United had in this game was the ability to give the ball to the forwards, and they trusted that they were going to look after it. Last season, we had issues with the likes of Garnacho and Højlund not always having the best first touch, not yet knowing how to use their bodies properly to truly be effective and hurt the opposition. Cunha and Mbeumo and Mount, they're all at that age now where they know exactly what they're doing. They know their strengths. They know how to play to their strengths. They're good players. They understand the need to protect the ball sometimes. And they were magnificent at doing that. And it gives United the platform to get forward. Like I said, though, what we also have is just ruthless quality. Bruno Fernandes picking up a second ball in midfield is one of the best passers in the world. Casemiro is an excellent forward passer. And when you're playing forward passers 2Ds, 3 up front, Manchester United are going to get into good positions. And of course, we saw exactly that. And this is what we're talking about. Mason Mount sort of setting the tone for the team, winning tackles, tracking back, getting stuck in midfield. And when you've got a player like Bruno Fernandes, who only needs to take one touch to set the ball in front of himself, and then he can play this pass, you can hurt anyone. The touch from Bryan Mbeumo is impressive. It's extremely impressive. One touch back inside the defender. But what I want you guys to think about here is what I said when we were first linked with Bryan Mbeumo. I think it was the second video I ever did on him. I said the Brentford players don't even look for him. They don't even get their head up before passing. They would always know where he's going to be. He's always going to be in that right channel. He's always going to be attacking space and looking to get at defenders. The United players are getting that already. We just know where Mbeumo is, and we know when he gets the ball, he can hurt teams. Another day, this will fly into the top corner because he is that good at football. But this is what we're talking about. The players don't need to look for Bryan Mbeumo because they know where he's going to be. They know he's going to be a runner for the team. And as I've said a few times already, the quality is absolutely absurd. This time, a right-footed effort on the half volley. Again, here, Manchester United on the transition. It's now Xerxes, Ahmad and Mbeumo looking to break forward after a set piece. And the quality is good. The decisions are good. Bryan Mbeumo, selfless in the final third. And we've got to be scoring that. Now, you might be thinking, AJ, aren't you being a little bit positive considering we only beat a relegation candidate by 1 goal with a last-minute penalty? And perhaps I am, but don't worry. We are going to talk about the negatives shortly. But first, one more strength and one more positive that I want to focus on. And that was some of United's combination play in the final third. When you sign a load of new players, as good as they are, you do have that spell, that period where they're going to struggle to adapt to each other's game. How do Ahmad and Mbeumo link up? How do Cunha and Mbeumo link up? How do they get their understanding with Bruno or Mason Mount or whoever it may be? It takes time to see that working. I think Ahmad and Mbeumo, particularly in the first few weeks of the season, Mbeumo individually has been playing very well. But as a duo, they haven't been great. I think in this game, they looked a bit more connected. They looked a bit more like they knew what they were doing, what spaces they were meant to occupy. I think it was almost a little bit simplified. Often, Ahmad was holding his position a little bit wider, a little bit longer, before then eventually coming inside. And that sort of simplified Mbeumo's role playing in this channel here. But I think what I really enjoyed was Manchester United's willingness to play 1-2s in the final third. And it makes sense. If we've got 5 players on the last line, often against Burnley in a 4, sometimes a 5. But if you've got the spare man, it is difficult for defenders to get out towards you because they're almost all sort of half and half between 2 players. So as Ahmad rolls this ball into Mbeumo, the centre-back is wanting to come towards Mbeumo, but he's also very aware of the fact that he's got Cunha behind him, and the next centre-back's got Cunha and Mount, and you can see the knock-on effect. And early on, United didn't quite click with some of these 1-2s, but as it went on, I think we then eventually did. And I'm talking about these situations here. Now, this is one of the ones that doesn't work. Ahmad picks the ball up on the right-hand side. He plays the ball inside the pitch to Cunha, and Cunha gives him the return ball into this position. No, that's the same clip again. Into this position here. Cunha gives him the return ball. Ahmad goes round the corner. This is good for Manchester United. We just don't quite get there on this occasion. But you can see what we're trying to do. You can see how we've opened up that space and how we're trying to access it. Cunha is a good player for these sorts of passes. Doesn't quite get it on this occasion. Next one, we're not going to make the same mistake. Ahmad picks the ball up again on the right-hand side. You can see the left back. Look where this left back is looking. He is very fixed on Ahmad. He doesn't even really know that Cunha is there. So focused on Ahmad. And Cunha has the ability. He has the quality. I really hope he's okay with his injury. At least it's an international break because he looks a serious footballer, Matheus Cunha. We all knew his quality. I think he's perhaps even better than I thought he was. I was really pleased with this performance. Throughout the first half hour, I think he really brought something to United. And this is what you can do when you play these 1-2 situations and you get players running off the back of people. You force last-ditch challenges. And when you are regularly asking defenders to commit to tackles like this, you are going to win some penalties over the course of a season. If you can get these defenders, making last-ditch tackles, something that I've been talking about all week is United need to ask more questions of the opposition. And I think this sort of combination play is how we can do that. Again, Ahmad involved. A much better performance from Ahmad today. He's had a difficult start to the season, but this was much better. Ahmad involved. He plays the ball inside to Bruno Fernandes. We know that Bruno's got that ability to give him the ball back. Tugged down by the defender. Is it a clear-cut penalty? You guys can let me know what you think in the comments. But again, you can see United causing problems. Now, so far, it's all been very positive, probably a little bit too positive considering we only won 3-2, so it's time to look at some of the problems. Manchester United were fantastic, particularly in the first half, particularly the first 30 minutes, but didn't put the game to bed. We lacked the finishing ability. That's still a problem. We need to take our chances. We've spent a lot of money on the forwards. We do need them to put the ball in the back of the net more regularly when they get good opportunities. I think even on set pieces, we missed a couple of decent moments. Some really good deliveries into the box that we couldn't quite make work. However, when you don't kill a football match and you play in the Premier League, you've got a problem. So what you need to do is control the game. If you can't quite get that final bit in the final third, you can't quite get the ball in the back of the net, you need to take control and look after the ball sometimes. And that's where United really struggled. All of United's good moments in this game, and there were a lot of them, as we've just discussed, but all of them were in fast breaking transitional moments. And that does mean one thing. If Manchester United are going to be transitioning, and therefore putting the ball at risk, right, committing players forward and trying risky passes, it means sometimes you're going to lose possession. And if you've transitioned, you've pushed players forward quickly and then you lose the ball, we know what's going to happen, right? The opposition could now transition. And this is what we were talking about right at the start, a transitioning, dueling game. And in the Premier League, there is just too much quality. This is Burnley here, a side who will probably be right down there for relegation this season. But if you give them regular opportunities to counter-attack, to transition, they're going to cause problems. And particularly in the second half, it became a bit like basketball. And that's when United had problems. We didn't put the game to bed. Suddenly Burnley started to get a little bit of confidence. At 1-0, they think, we're still in this. We can get after United. And because United don't control the game, they're right. They can get after us because we know that we're going to give them big spaces to attack. And again, Premier League teams have quality that they can hurt you with. The other problem for United was not only that we were a little bit weak defensively in transition, but also the opposite side of the defence as well. I thought the high press was decent, but when Manchester United were low in anything close to a mid-block, it's just, again, extremely passive. I don't think we were helped by the likes of Xerxes and Kobe coming on for the injured Cunha and Mount. Injuries are never good for your team. But Mount and Cunha bring a real intensity. When you swap to Xerxes and Kobe, I think instinctively they're not quite as intense. That's not how they play. But also they're not sharp. They're not up to speed with first-team football at this level yet this season because they haven't played enough. United lost something in the second half defensively where we didn't feel quite as organised. So, we're putting Bruno into that position there. We're going to bring on Kobe, if I can find him. Where is Kobe Mainu? Here we go. And let's also take Cunha out for Xerxes. United lose something defensively in terms of intensity, but also sharpness. We know the system is going to be passive. We know that Burnley are going to outnumber us in these areas here. And again, that's when you start to give away control. And that's why this was still frustrating for Manchester United. Because for all the good attacking work we did, because we didn't kill the game, which is obviously one of the big problems, but because we don't kill the game or control it, we just let the other team in every time. And at 1-0, it's such a dangerous lead. And Burnley could have very easily come away with a draw here. Or even all 3 points, really. All in all, I think it was a pretty good performance from Manchester United in terms of the physicality, the intensity, and also the technical quality that we saw from the side. I think we saw there a lot of what we lacked in midweek. So I think that's why Amorim would have been more impressed. There's also some positives tactically. The way that the players were linking up in the final third looked quite good. But there's still some problems as well. It's too attacking at times. We need to learn to slow down. That sounds weird to say about a team which hasn't scored many goals this season, but we do play too fast sometimes. We need to let the team join us. We attack with 2 or 3 players sometimes because the rest of the team doesn't have time to join. Then we get caught on the break. Defensively, we are too passive. On goal kicks, good. We press man-to-man and we force the opposition long. But in open play, we don't do that at all. And we're very easy, again, to come onto. Burnley get 2 goals. And it could have been a very different day. And we could be having a very different video right now. Ultimately, Manchester United got a 3-2 win. And that's the most important thing. I've seen a couple of comments about the celebrations. It's only Burnley. It was also only Grimsby. Celebrate your wins in life. I don't care how small they are. Celebrate them. Hopefully, we get to a point where, yes, we win more regularly. And it's not such a relief just beating Burnley. But right now, when you're struggling, you celebrate those small wins. So I don't have a problem with that at all. A lot of work for Manchester United to do still. I don't think this type of performance is that sustainable over the course of the season. I think you can have them here and there. Those transitional games where you rip teams to shreds on the break. I don't think you can do that every week. You need to be able to do the other side of the game still, which is the slower game defensively and offensively. And currently United lack that. That's where we need work. That's where Amorim has to improve, and hopefully he will. Will he or not? I don't know. We just have to wait and see. And that's what it is now, a bit of a waiting game. Let's see what happens in the rest of the transfer window. Then we've got the international break, and then United will go again. So in terms of, for now, there's not really anything else to talk about. An important win for United, points on the board. Now time to move forward. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, why not try checking out these 2 other videos, and hopefully YouTube actually works these times and there's 2 videos here. If not, I look like a muppet. And I will see you in the next one.